In the headlines, police parade 2 soldiers, others over murder of Yobe cleric. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi meets with Afenifere Southern and Middle Belt leaders. Cholera kills 91 in 31 states as 12 die of monkeypox. Away from Nigeria, court jails U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband for drunk driving charge. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ila. Thank you for joining. And now the details. Police in Yobe State have paraded 2 suspected soldiers and 3 others in connection to the alleged murder of Islamic cleric Sheikh Goni Aisami Gashua along Gashua-Kano Road in the state. The soldiers are Lance Corporal John Gabriel and Lance Corporal Adamu Gideon, both of Reki Battalion, Nguru, Yobe State. Police spokesperson Dungus Abdul Karim said that the suspects will be charged to court. The principal suspect, Lance Corporal Gabriel, admitted to the crime and explained how he killed the cleric and seized his car. According to a statement signed by Army spokesperson of the Operation Hadinkai, Kennedy Anyao, any soldier found wanting will face the wrath of the law. The Zamfara State Committee on Prosecutions of Bandits-Related Offences says until Bello Turji, the notorious bandit kingpin, publicly surrenders his arms and announces his repentance, it will not consider his repentance as true. Chairman of the committee, Abdullahi Shinkafi, said this at a press briefing in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. Shinkafi, who is also from Shinkafi local government, where Turji mostly operates, said over 6 months there was no record of attack or mass abduction of persons in the area and other communities. Shinkafi was responding to an earlier pronouncement by the Zamfara State Deputy Governor Hassan Nasiha that the bandit leader had embraced a peace deal. Shinkafi bemoaned what he described as the prolonged investigations and delayed prosecution of arrested bandits and their collaborators. Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila says electoral crimes, if not addressed, can subvert the democratic will of the electorates and enthrone corrupt leadership. Gbajabiamila stated this on Tuesday during a one-day public hearing on a bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission. The report.
The bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission is a critical legislation which has been part of all national conversations on constitution and electoral reforms for the last 13 years. This gathering is aimed at getting the inputs and opinions of stakeholders to take necessary legislative steps to address identified challenges and block loopholes in the conduct of elections. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who was represented by his deputy, Idris Wase, noted that electoral offences are self-inflicted injuries that should be avoided at all cost.
One will acknowledge that even our recent governorship elections in Ikiti and Osun State signifies milestone in Nigeria's democratic evolution. There is no doubt that a lot of work still needs to be done.
Provisions of the consolidated bill currently before the House of Representatives seeks to establish a commission that will be in charge of investigating and prosecuting electoral offences created under the bill or any other law related to electoral offences.
In our view, having the commission in place and functional will no doubt enhance the credibility of the electoral process and contribute immensely to the nation's drive to have free, fair and credible polls, since the provision in the enabling law will serve as a disincentive to those wishing to perpetrate electoral offences.
Stakeholders, while considering the 46 clause bill, are also recommending that jurisdiction and special powers of the court include electoral offences tribunal.
However, there were still observed issues, malpractices, especially during the electioneering processes, the most common being the issue of voter buying and manipulation of electorates.
When offenses are identified and prescribed in a law, it's important that the punishment for it be commensurate with the offense identified. Looking at the Electoral Offences Commission propositions here, it includes that the proposal that says that at least 20 years imprisonment for ballot snatching. I think that is overwhelming.
However, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, kicked against the bill, suggesting that existing law enforcement agencies should be strengthened to achieve maximum output rather than creating a new agency for investigating and prosecuting electoral offences.
It's our position that there's no need to create an agency solely for the purpose of investigating and prosecuting electoral offences, most especially when our electoral processes is seasonal in nature, being that the elections are held once in 4 years in the country.
The submissions gathered by the committee will be presented to the House upon resumption.
Still from the Parliament, the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence on Tuesday began investigation into the attack at the Kuje Correctional Center that led to the escape of 64 inmates. The committee's chairman, Sha'aban Saraba, on Tuesday in Abuja said that the House resolution to investigate the attack was sequel to a motion moved at the plenary. He said that the House had on July inaugurated a joint committee on national security in the wake of the attack to investigate and come up with possible recommendations that will forestall a reoccurrence. Saraba said that the committee will ascertain the roles played by security and intelligence agencies in the security breach and profile ways to mitigate against reoccurrence. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, on Tuesday met with leader of Afenifere, Ayo Adebanjo, and members of the South and Middle Belt Leadership Forum. In a statement about the event, the former Anambra State Governor also noted that the national leaders of the Labour Party and other stakeholders were present at the meeting. Although the agenda of the meeting was not disclosed, it is most likely to be about the 2023 general elections. Reports say that Adebanjo and the South and Middle Belt Leadership Forum have been critical of both the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party and may consider backing Obi for president. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, for the first time on Wednesday, physically attended the Federal Executive Council meeting at the council chambers of the State House in Abuja after a successful surgical operation on July 16th at a private hospital in Ikeja, Lagos. He underwent the surgery after a fracture in his leg, an injury he sustained while playing squash. And Osinbajo, who was discharged on July 25th, has been recuperating at home and attending official functions. The Vice President was welcomed by ministers and presidential aides at the Federal Cabinet meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Also in attendance at the FEC meeting are Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Mungunu. Ministers attending physically include Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, Federal Capital Territory Minister, Mohammed Bello, Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Pantami, among others. Head of Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemiesa, and other ministers are participating online in the weekly council meeting from their various offices in Abuja. Media Trust Group is exploring mutually beneficial business with Touch Bank Limited, an emerging non-interest bank in Nigeria. The Group Chief Executive Officer, Media Trust Group, Monir Gwarzo, led the management team on a courtesy visit to the corporate headquarters in Abuja. The report.
The management team of Media Trust Group were received by the managing director and top management staff of the bank. The team lead, Monir Gwarzo, who is the Group Chief Executive Officer Media Trust Group, commended Taj Bank for the enormous achievement it had attained within just few years of operation in Nigeria. It is enough reason for the Media Trust Group to seek to be part of that success through a robust collaborative initiative.
So we came to greet you, to thank you sincerely because from the briefing I received, we've been having business with Taj Bank, and we also congratulate you for the good work you've done. I've watched your last AGM a few months ago, and I know you are operating at a very difficult environment, even though you have created your niche. But that niche has not been developed to that extent. And one can see in the last 2 years what you guys have achieved. And we want to be part of that success story. We want to thank you for the patronage. And we also want to appeal for more collaborations with us.
You can watch Trust TV anywhere in the world via YouTube or our website. So that's our reach. I think on free to air, we just started less than a year. There are over 120 channels, but we are numbered at 3 at the moment. So it's quite, I think this is the fastest growing TV in Nigeria ever in terms of the numbers we are making at the moment.
Responding, Managing Director of Taj Bank Hamid Joda welcomed a fruitful collaboration with the Media Trust Group on all platforms, reiterating its commitment to ensuring that Taj Bank competes favorably with its peers for the benefit of Nigerians.
We, as you very well know, we started as a regional bank, and when we opened our doors, I think one of the first places we visited at that time was Media Trust. We had a meeting with your team, and from there we sought to activate a mutually beneficial relationship. We have a very robust agenda, and we have a strategic plan. We believe you are strategic partners in that arrangement that we have. So I think the two teams should start engaging each other immediately.
The underlying focus for collaboration by these two groups, which are leaders in their different fields, is upliftment of the ordinary Nigerian by identifying with their challenges. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A federal high court in Abuja has faulted the decision by the National Executive Council of the Nigerian Bar Association to ratify the suspension of NBA's General Secretary Joyce Odua in a ruling on Tuesday. Justice Ahmed Mohammed voided the ratification by the NBA NEC of Odua's suspension by the NBA's National Executive Committee. Justice Mohammed was of the view that the NBA's NEC, which ratified Odua's suspension, acted in bad faith and in utter disregard of the proceedings of the court. The judge upheld Odua's lawyers' contention that the ratification affected by NBA NEC at its meeting on August 21 ought not to have been carried out in view of the pendency of a suit by the suspended General Secretary challenging her suspension. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at breaking ethno-religious barriers. Details of this and more after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Which kind wire you gonna need to light up your light? Oh man, a quality wire. Now which kind cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh man, a quality cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman tank. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Coleman be the come and see, come and see. Come and be the Coleman won't light up your light. Come and be the come and see. Come and be the C-O-L-E-M-A-N. Quality, quality. Do the bull. Oh yeah. Now come and be the Baba.
Thanks for staying here watching the news update on Trust Television. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Police parade 2 soldiers, others over murder of Yobe cleric. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi meets with Afenifere, Southern and Middle Belt leaders. In other news, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has said that a total of 3,610 suspected cases of cholera, including 91 deaths, have been recorded in 31 states this year. The Director General, NCDC, Ifedayo Adetifa, disclosed this Tuesday during the ministerial briefing by the Ministry of Health. He said of the suspected cases since the beginning of the year, the age group less than 5 years was the most affected age group for male and female. Adetifa also said that from January 1 to August 14, there were 530 suspected cases of monkeypox, 220 confirmed cases, and 4 deaths from 29 states, while saying that there is currently no case of Marburg virus disease in Nigeria. He said Nigeria had the capacity to test for the virus at the National Reference Laboratory in Abuja and the University of Lagos Teaching Hospital Laboratory Center for Human and Zoonotic Virology. The National Primary Health Care Development Agency and the Southwest Traditional Leaders Committee on Primary Health Care have committed to strengthening routine immunization and promote the health and well-being of community members at the grassroots. They made the commitment at the Maiden Quarterly meeting designed to highlight plans and achievements of primary health care service delivery in the region. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu has more.
The traditional institution remains one of the viable means to reach community members in areas of health and socio-economic well-being by engaging traditional leaders in role modeling, community advocacy, mobilization and sensitization, resource mobilization, and monitoring of preventive diseases through operational guidelines and intervention of primary health care service.
You know your communities, you know their needs, you know their concerns. When they are brought to the partnership of NPHCDA and the rest of the health partners contributing, that's when they get the answers they need, that's when they get the support they need.
Polio response, COVID-19 immunization, routine immunization, maternal and child health, all these are critical areas that WHO looks at very critically and works very hard to ensure that the service delivery is done.
The Federal Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, is therefore soliciting continuous help of traditional rulers from the southwestern region of the country and leveraging their influence in its quest to reach out to rural communities with the messages of immunization and other primary healthcare services that would improve the health and well-being of the population.
Traditional fathers are the drivers of education and health. And it is in that respect that we continue to seek this collaboration and cooperation with our royal fathers.
Their performances, especially around childhood immunization, COVID-19, all the other indicators around maternal and child care, because we know that once citizens hear from them, then they will know that the information is factual.
In his remarks, the Oni of Ife and Chairman Southwest Traditional Leaders Committee on Primary Healthcare, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, promised to mobilize the traditional rulers across the 6 states in the Southwest geopolitical zone and other stakeholders to ensure that sensitization and benefits of immunization and other primary healthcare services is taken to rural communities.
And we're using the primary healthcare platform to reach out to them. And so far, so good. The MOUs is working, and we are not talking the talk, but we are walking the walk.
The engagement is part of the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding on the systemic engagement of traditional leaders in the works of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, particularly at the grassroots level. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Christians and Muslims in Jos North local government area of Plateau State are breaking the ethno-religious barriers that polarized the state capital along religious line following the crisis that swept over the state in 2001. Adamu Musa takes a look at how people are defying ethno-religious barriers. The report.
Years after the first crisis in the city center of Jos in 2001, where thousands were killed and many more displaced, confidence between Christians and Muslims is beginning to resurface. The 2001 crisis, which falls along ethno-religious lines, took away the beauty of peaceful coexistence between the many people of the once peaceful town. The recurrence of the ethno-religious conflicts has further polarized Jos into Christian and Muslim communities. Many think that those who leave their areas to other communities for whatever reason usually put their lives at risk, considering the nature of the crisis in the state. However, despite the upward trend of separation and segregation among the warring communities, which resulted to insecurity, there are people who are still breaking the ethno-religious barriers in the state, especially in Jos. They said it is easier to live in harmony than in crisis. I do come from a Christian community of Faringada area to Angorogo to sell roasted maize for almost 10 years now. Despite the recurrence of the crisis in Jos, nobody has ever threatened to kill or intimidate me. My prayer is, let there be peace so that there will be development. There is still hope that we can still mingle with one another. There's no day that I will not come here except if I'm not well. I have been coming here for the past 5 years and nothing has happened to me. If you really want to do business, you must mingle with people of other faiths or ethnic groups. Business doesn't know religion or tribe. Any day I don't come, they ask for my whereabouts. Our relationship is very cordial in spite of what happened in the past. I come here and spend hours selling onions. Nothing has ever happened to me. I go around this area. I was never abused, not to talk of attempting to kill. The fact that there was crisis, some people have forgot what has happened. I call on people to know that we are all created for a purpose. We should embrace one another for the sake of peace and unity. I believe that sooner or later, people will realize that it is better to live with one another, irrespective of our differences. Various individuals and groups also pray that Jos residents will understand the power of unity and living in peace with one another for the development of the state. From Jos, Adamu Musa reporting for Trust TV.
Now, away from Nigeria, U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband has been sentenced to 5 days in jail after pleading guilty to drink driving. Paul Pelosi, 82, admitted driving under the influence of alcohol and causing injury after crashing his Porsche in Napa County, California in May 2022. The plea deal spares the multimillionaire a more serious charge. He will not serve any further jail time under the plea agreement. The night he spent in jail after the crash on 28th of May will count for 2 days. 2 more days were taken off for good behavior. and the final day will be served by doing 8 hours of community service. And now in sports news, the General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation, Dr. Mohammed Sanusi, says that the Falconets missed their flight from Istanbul, Turkey to Nigeria, adding that they were not stranded in the European nation. Sanusi's claim followed reports that the Falconets, who left Costa Rica, venue of the 2022 Under-20 Women's World Cup on Monday after crashing out of the competition, were stranded in Istanbul. The players were pictured sleeping on bare floors and chairs at the Istanbul airport waiting for their flight. Sanusi described the report as mischievous and misleading, saying that the girls missed their connecting flight, adding that the Falconets have finally boarded a flight to Abuja. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more via all our social media platforms. Watch us live on YouTube after subscribing. And that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I am Ayuba Ilya. Bye for now.